Hello and welcome back to Talent League. It's just me for this game. I'm all on my lonesome, so at least you've got a pretty face to look at while we wait for this game to start. The next game that's going to be on the agenda is Firebird NPC versus the Guardians Alpha, and we're pretty much ready to go. We're just waiting for the teams to get themselves together, and then we'll be going into that match. And we're almost ready. It's just polishing off a couple of things in the background. Of course, I'm Chamberlain. I'm on my own for this game. I'm hoping I've got someone with the next game. There's a couple more games afterwards, but we'll get into that later on. In terms of the map, so I'll discuss where we're going to be going. It is going to be Cafe Dostoevsky that we're heading to at least, and it's just a fun map. Everybody knows how Cafe plays. It's obviously quite a tall map. It's the tallest map there is. It's got the most floors, and it plays a specific way. There's a lot more repels than what you would see on the other maps that you in the map pool. It is quite a difficult one to spectate because of that, because of the design of the map, and it does mean that there's quite a lot of roam clears and roam plays and whatnot, where you have to bring yourself down from the top floor. You have to, even if it's a basement, even if it's a bottom floor defense, where you have to clear through the entire map. You have to, if there's a vigil or whatnot, just roaming around and just being a nuisance. It really does depend on how how you want to attack and stuff. And yeah, there's not much to add on really when it comes to Cafe. It's a fairly straightforward map. I'm quite surprised to see it in a best of one, if I'm completely honest. It doesn't pop up that often when it comes to best of ones, and that's the reason being is it is a bit more niche, because you have to do a bit more clearing. There is a bit more repels and whatnot, as opposed to the standard maps like your Oregon, your Clubhouse, that everybody kind of knows to set up and whatnot. Now, in terms of the groups, I'm just having a look at it just to make sure that my information is correct, just because some of the groups are a little bit all over the place. So let me just check. Now, Firebird NPC at the minute are sitting on 5 points, and then you've got Guardians who are on 1 point. So Guardians really want to get up and running tonight. If they get this, if they're able to collect this, they'll at least just be a point behind. Whereas Firebird, if they're able to get those points, then they can start to get themselves into that top 4 scenario, because right now it is quite close for that top 3. So at the moment, you're sitting with 6 points for a couple of them, and then you've got 5 points with a few teams as well. And so if they're able to at least get themselves on to 8 points, then they can start to get near that top 3 and start to open up a little bit of a gap heading in to the kind of middle of this group and whatnot. Just got the bans happening just now, and of course on the screen, just blue-sided is GRDX, we'll be calling them, just because it's quite a long name, Guardians Alpha. And then you've got Firebird NPC as well that are orange. They'll be starting us off on the defense. And the first ban coming through at the minute is Decebe. Of course, quite a strong operator, especially on PC. Very, very strong with that DMR. They are really commonly played on PC. I'm like I say, I've mentioned that a few times. I came from console. It's only just been a couple of months that I've been on PC myself, so it's quite interesting for me to see the difference in the metas and the difference in the operators that people see. I think that the KB is a really strong operator in her own right, even if you take out the fact that she has a DMR. The DMR just adds to that. I think that makes her a lot nicer to kind of play. That it's a bit more rewarding to be able to master the KB because of that. Of course, the EMP nades as well have been a massive change there. They've really changed things in terms of even just the Thatcher ban doesn't come a lot because of those EMP nades, and it's really made her a really good all-round operator. Flores is usually banned because of the shields. It's 9 times out of 10 because they want to play a certain way and they don't want to have to bring a Mute or a Mozzie or anything like that to try and counter the Flores. Instead, they actually want to try and play something a little bit different, and it just makes it a bit easier to protect those shields. Instead, they can try and rely on ADSs and go back to the more traditional style of Siege where people have to burn things to get rid of it and whatnot. Now, you've also got the Zami ban. That's usually just against that area in Cigar Lounge. It's so commonly played inside a Cigar Lounge. It's one of those ones where you just pop up as many shields as possible, or keep barriers if you want to use the correct name, and just to try and cut those lines of sights from the windows to make sure that no one can see anything at all. As you move around, it makes it a bit more comfortable to play. So no surprise to see the Izami go and the Mira ban just to round things out. Mira is as strong as ever, even though she did get that nerf a couple of seasons ago, just where you can melee it. It doesn't really make much of a difference if you play her correctly, because you can play it at a distance. And that means that it's still quite strong in Cafe, because a lot of the time it is played into that wee kind of stacks area in next to Cocktail Lounge, and that means that it holds angle all the way through towards Cigar Lounge, and that is the most common place you'll see it. And that is a very hard one to contest. You usually have to try and bring some sort of hard reach to get against it, and it does force you through a couple of kind of choke points in terms of going through the doorway towards White, or going through towards that doorway and toward the kind of main, just below the skylight from Cigar Shop. So Not surprising to see any of those bands go. I think the combination is a bit more surprising. You know, there's not really, you know, the lean on the traditional sign you usually see Thatcher. We've moved away from that. There's no hard beach ban or anything like that. It seems like they've got a good idea of what these bands want to do and what they want to form out of it. In terms of getting us started on this site, though, we are getting started on the southeast side for the attackers here, who've brought quite a standard lineup. I don't think I'm surprised to see anything really on the side here. It is very much a cafe setup. You see the Nomad coming through for these flanks. It is the top floor site, by the way, as well. So we're going to be going at least to Cocktail Lounge first. And, well, if you want to call it cocktail, you can call it cocktail bar, whatever you want to call it. It's all a big mix, really. So yeah, that's where we're going first, and the attackers are now getting on the repels, getting everything sorted, getting set up to get this started, and it takes quite a bit in terms of cafe. There's quite a bit of droning you need to do to make sure you know where the utility is, just because you're funneling through quite a few areas, and you see just that just now from Damien, who's had to drop a hatch in towards Cigar Shop. Takes a little bit of damage just from a crossfire that's been held through from Cocktail, and that's the first little bit of damage done. Not too much to worry about, though, as they have at least a little bit of control inside of the Cigar Shop, and now they can start beginning the push into towards the lounge now and at least get themselves in an angle and an area to get in towards the site and get an execute done. A minute and a half now on the clock as the Zofia stuns and impact needs go out to try and create a little bit of space inside of that cigar bar. And on the repel as well, you've got Nyon as well, just holding on, waiting for anybody to cross and see if they can get themselves a cheeky kill. But there's no real attempt to play in towards Cigar Lounge and stop anything. There's no angles being held. There's nothing really against them. First pick does happen, and it is slows to fall, and that is just towards the Habana of Burn, but the flank comes up from behind, and it's double at the same time as Gon is able to find Damien from the Frost, and that's inside of Cocktail Lounge, and shuts down the Zofia. The Habana's the other one that was dropped off at the same time, and now it's swung from being in the favour of GRDX into favour now of Firebirds, but the planet is going down. The smoke does go all the way through, and it will get the down before the planet can go down. Just decided to stick it, but not long enough to get the plant to actually go all the way down. Instead is dropped. The life is gone of the sledge, and now things are not looking too good for GRDX as they hold inside of Cigar Lounge with 2 members still left alive, but 4 on side for Firebird, and now they need to try and get that diffuser recovered to see if they can get themselves in to get an rejig in terms of the execute, but still pushing through this wall here to funnel in towards behind the bar, but not able to get in. The smoke babe goes out again as Nyon is able to find STLR, and pushing forwards in from Cigar Shop, has to funnel through the doorway though and is dropped because of that, and it's a double kill to come out from Gonny and a triple on the round in total for the Frost, who's able to find another couple from the couple of wee flicks inside of bar, finds that shot and finishes off the round in favour of Firebirds. Now, because it is just me on my lonesome tonight, I may have to take a couple of breaks here and there just to water the throat a wee bit, just to make sure that I can speak for the entire time, because there is a potential that I might have to do a couple of them in a row, which is fine. I've done longer casts in the past, so it's all good, but just want to save my voice a little bit. You know, I don't want to go too crazy in terms of the cast for the night, but we'll certainly get into this and certainly see if we can get a wee bit of atmosphere going as Firebird are in the lead with 1 round already on the board, and they're going downstairs. They're going to go down to that bottom floor, and they're going to show us it quite early. It's a pretty standard rotation so far, top floor, bottom floor. That's usually what you'll see. There has been some teams in the past that almost refuse to play the bottom floor because of the vertical play, and it's the same in the top floor. Some teams really have a kind of preference where they'll either be the type of team that plays those standard sites at the top and the bottom, or they'll be a team that wants to stick it in the middle and give themselves a little bit of flexibility where you can go up, roam above, roam below, wherever you fancy, because if you're on the bottom floor, then you're forced to go for a roam above, or you can turtle down. That's really your only 2 options, because if you turtle down, you know, you can play outside the site just to make you can pretty much hold that entire site from playing outside of it, because you have to, if you do go for the turtle, you're just conceding that you're going to have quite a bit of vertical play, and we'll see how they decide to do that. They do have the Solus on side, and they are going to go for a little bit of roam, just hunting around, see if they can find some drones. Panda now opens up that main door, in towards the bakery area, And it's STLR who will meet that with some resistance behind the bakery bar, and just going to play time a little bit in here, shoot some drones and not overpeak too much and not overextend anything, just so that they can play as much time inside of bakery and waste as much as possible. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock, and this is where we start to open up this wall and see if they can get the push in. The nade does go through, but it's not able to connect. The C4 is sent through, but it doesn't connect. And still wedged in behind bakery is STLR on the Goyo, and not intent on moving at any time soon, as Loki's able to open up the scoreboard inside of this round and finds Panda. That's the Capital gone and all of the utility with it, and still STLR remains behind the bar and is somehow able to escape. 20 HP, the nade went in and just decided to hightail all the way out of bakery and in towards site, and is able to keep their life for it. And now things start to get in towards bakery as the pressure begins, as Slows just holds inside of that front office area towards reception, waiting for anyone that could go through that double door, as Loki comes back to site and knows that they have to come support their team members in towards that red stairs area, but no one's going to come along that corridor just yet, as they're still just getting themselves established in towards bakery, making sure they can open up some walls and see if they can get themselves in towards getting this execute down. Kresolor, though, just waiting for the opportunity to use any C4s and play some of these longer angles with the SMG11. And like I said, a lot of times you'll play outside the site with this one because it's almost forced, because there is so much vertical that is available. Loki's able to find another one on the round. This time it's Damien to fall, and that's the Twitch gone. And Firebird are in a much more comfortable position, but there is a cross angle being held here. And I think the Habana knows, Born knows that STLR's in the corner, and should he even move a slight inch, he'll lose his life because he's only on 20 HP. He only has one bullet before he'll be out of the round, as Loki has made a rotate towards red stairs, still remaining and lurking around that area, just barricading off one of the windows to make sure that no one can hop in there without the sound cue. Still remaining in this corner, though, STLR holding strong, though the swing comes through. It's a double kill, actually. It's not even a double kill, it's a team kill by accident. Borns finds Nion, but at the same time there's a kill to fall. It's a triple kill for Loki on the round, as Gemis is now in a 1 versus 4 scenario, and Loki finishes it off with a 4K inside this round on the Solus, and Firebird take 2 rounds on Cafe. Firebird have opened up a little bit of a gap, so it's 2-round buffer at least. They've won the two more common sites, the top floor or the bottom floor. Those seem to be the most common sites that we usually see on Cafe. It is a lot of preference, though, because like I mentioned before, some teams prefer to play in the middle because it gives them more opportunity to hold above, hold below. Whereas if you're on the bottom floor, you're forced to counter the vertical by some degree, or if you're on that top floor, you're forced to play outside to inside, which is never comfortable for defenders to do that. So it could be a lot of preference when it comes to what sites you'll go for. But we're going to see a middle site here. We're going to see what would you consider one of the tertiary sites, and it will be the reading site that we'll see. It won't be the mining one, so it won't be too much outside to inside. Of course, that window that plays into mining can sometimes change people's minds, and that's why we usually see reading a little bit more than you would see mining, just because that window plays straight onto the site, and that can be a little bit easier for the attackers. Reinforcing the hatch from Cigar Lounge is an interesting choice because it doesn't give the option to drop if they are roaming upstairs, which it looks like they are. Gonny is upstairs at the moment on the Oryx, which is an interesting pick, and if there's any map to take an Oryx on, it is Cafe, with plenty hatches, plenty floors to hop up and down, and spawn peak will be attempted here from Gonny, and it is pre-fired out from the other side of that window, but nothing is going to be received on either side, and they can just safely move away from that spawn peak and continue on through the day. And that was Born there on the other side as well, so it was the Habana, and if there is any operator that you want to spawn peak, it would be the hard breach to at least limit any options for the attackers to get in the site and perform any sort of execute, because it can make things difficult. Although Cafe is one of those maps where you can kind of get away without a hard breach, because a lot of the map does rely on cross angles and long angles to be played, so you don't need it as much, because 9 times out of 10 the walls are soft, and it's only sometimes that you actually have the walls being reinforced and whatnot. So it really does depend on how they want to play it, though. Looks like, though, we're going to see a top floor hold at the minute, and that is usually what we'll see from this type of site. There is a little bit of vertical, with Panda moving through towards Cigar Lounge, and has the angle from the ticket window just towards that pixel area and towards White Corridor. Knows that anyone could rotate through there, but it's unlikely that they'll give up that position. They'll just hold at the top of the white staircase. There are the mute jammers there to prevent any drones from coming along and at least slow down the attackers moving through. Damien has now joined the party in towards that Cigar Lounge as well, and we have a third member, and there's now 4 members inside the Cigar Lounge, and it looks as though they've got at least a little bit of map map control, and Gonny's just going to give them the rest of the map, and doesn't want to put any fight onto it, doesn't want to fight onto white, and eventually goes back up and makes that mistake, and Panda's ready for it, over peaks and takes the life of Gonny, and now another one to fall as well. It's Gemis to find Loki, and that's the heaviest hitter from that last round dealt with, and things are looking a little bit better for GRDX as they have a little bit of a lead inside this round. It's a 5 versus 3 scenario in terms of the man count. Slows, STLR, and Crazyler left alive. The vertical play now can begin. The sledge is on the board. Panda's able to find quite a bit of damage and gets the down onto Slows, and now things are looking dire for Firebird. There's a 5 versus 2 situation. Over towards Mining though. The Valkyrie does hold, but Crazyler's looking to try and tease a flank up the white staircase. He's just thinking about it. Doesn't have a C4 anymore, but does instead just go for the brute force all the way up the staircase, and no one's holding it. There's no drones, there's no Nomad, there's an air jab though that has been spotted. Donny just needs to try and deal with it if he can. Decides to shoot the drone. He is spotted out and he's able to get himself back to site, at least safely, and he won't be able to go for that flank at this moment in time. The drones have been flicked to make sure that there's no one going for it. Born though going for the plant. 5 versus 1. Those STLRs found, and Crazyler now left with all to do. The hopes and dreams of this round lie squarely on his shoulders, and now the drop will come through the hatch and is able to find at least one consolation prize, but Born is there to kill the player through the wall and gets that final shot. And finally the attackers are up and running on Cafe Dostoyevsky with their first round for GRDX. Like I mentioned, because it is just me tonight, I will have to take a wee break here and there, just because we're just having a couple of people talking together. We're just having quite a few people, but it's fine. It's okay. We will continue on, and I'll blow my voice to bits to give you the passion that everybody's here for in Talent League Season 9. Now, we're going to go back to the top floor. Of course, we do have the full cycle done and dusted, so they can go pretty much any site they want now. Of course, they've just lost that site as well, just inside a read-in, and they're just going to go back to the top floor. They won this one out pretty comfortably, and I think that showed the type of team that Firebird are, and they are the ones that prefer to go for these more traditional sites, the top floor, the bottom floor, as opposed to those middle sites. They didn't look comfortable at all, really. They lost that round pretty easily. The top floor hold wasn't great. Although the clear was good from GRDX, they were able to get themselves into lounge altogether. The drones came through, the information game was there, and they were at least able to set up some of these flanks to make sure that they weren't in a position to concede any silly kills where someone could just sneak up behind and get something. Gonny again going for the spawn peek, this time from a different window, is able to find anything on the rappel, looking to catch anyone rappelling up to come and do the rappels themselves on that east side, just to come up onto the cocktail windows, but no one's going to go up to it just yet. No one's going to entertain that possibility as of the second. Instead, they're going to go from the west side. That's where they seem to be coming for this push, and Loki, again, as ever, out in the roam, just waiting for any opportunity to try and find any just rogue players that aren't really paying attention out towards that side of the map. On the bottom floor, inside the bakery, waiting for anyone to come in that double door and see if they can profit off of that. The shield is played inside towards Pixel this time. There wasn't anything at all really concentrated inside the cigar lounge, and last time they really just gave the attackers cigar lounge. This time they're putting up a little bit of a fight. Last time though, it worked out in their favour. They had the cross angles, and it looked as though even though GRDX had the control inside of Cigar Lounge, they still weren't able to do anything with it. And Damien on this interference role inside of Cigar Shop, again, the same as last time, trying to send out as much pressure as they possibly can from that window, or so that door even. And 2 early picks are going to come through here. STLR is able to find Damien from that, what I just mentioned, and Slows is able to find another one onto Gemis at the same time. And that's the 2 entries gone, and now it's left to the 2 support members and that Flex to get the job done inside this round. A minute and 30 seconds left as Panda gets the drone out of the pocket to try and give some information towards that bathroom area. Loki takes a little bit of damage at the end, and the player is spotted towards the end of the white corridor. Look at this, caught on their drone. The Solus from below is able to find a little bit of damage, but receives some in return through the floorboards. The yellow pings are coming below. They have the information, but Slows is able to find Born, and now Panda and Nyon are left with it all to do inside of Cigar Lounge, pushing towards it. They're able to find at least a shoulder blade inside of Cocktail, but not able to land any damage though. The angle being held from white. It's a triple kill for Slows, who finds the life of Nyon, and now Panda in a 1 versus 5 scenario. It doesn't look likely. Trying to push down this white corridor, has the nade, cooks it, sends it, and Slows is able to find a quad on the round from the white staircase with a 1.5 on the frost, and closes that round out with Firebird taking yet again another round on their defense on Cafe. Now, I think we're going to go back to kitchen and service. Well, kitchen cooking even, if you want to call it that. Or service and cooking, whatever you fancy. Been here before, of course. We've seen Firebird win it the last time, and they're going to go back down there, and they're not going to change much. Pretty much the same idea. Pretty much the same operator. Slows gets to go and Frost yet again. STLR on the Wamai. We haven't spoken much about the picks in terms of what these teams have been bringing along. The Solus has been religiously brought every single round, and it seems to be something that they will always want to bring. Loki's had a great performance, and I don't know how important the actual pick of Solus has been. It's quite hard to tell when it comes to Solus, because the way obviously it works, you can use those goggles to try and spot out as much utility as possible, but unless you're specifically following the Solus around and you see it, we don't really see the engagements that the Solus gets, because there's nothing, it's not exciting to watch. It's not exciting to see them hunting down drones this entire time, and that's likely what they usually do the first 30 seconds, and then you can use those goggles to try and find players. You can spot claymores, air jabs, whatever you fancy, and obviously we've seen it in the last round. It was utilised to spot the sledge being on the drone. They've got some damage through the floorboards because of it, but it's one of those ones where the Solus can be super impactful in the right conditions, and I don't know how much it has been really. It's more so Loki just having a good performance on the gun, really, more than anything. But we're still going to see the same hold as what we've seen last time. Out towards bakery, it usually is the situation behind that bar. There is someone just wedged in there, and the attackers will try and do their best to try and get rid of them. They have nades with them, and they also have the Capital again. It's nice to see Capital getting brought along. I quite like the Capital. I think he brings a lot of utility, and it's a great gun that can be utilised along with that 1.5, and it always looks good, and is always a great operator to bring. It has plenty of utility to try and get people out of these positions, and it just makes it uncomfortable for STLR to play behind this bakery area. Still holding on though, 2 minutes on the clock. Has at least been able to waste 1 minute, and you can hear some smoke canisters going off on the other side, and that's just to, I think it's from the actual, I don't think they have a smoke, so someone's been sending out the smoke canisters from the attack just to try and slow down. It was the Twitch did that though, and eventually the angle is found. It's Nyon with ups and down repel, catches STLR out, and now they have the opportunity to get in towards bakery, but Damien has an angle towards the door inside of prep, knows that if anyone swings out to try and get rid of Gemis on the Maverick, then he will be able to cover that, and Gemis is going to do exactly that. Open up this wall. Nyon's able to find Slows, who's dropped off of this round, and that's the Frost gone, and no attempt at a quad will be made inside this round at least, and stacking up inside the bakery now as they try to begin and execute towards this west side. Just pushing through, trying to get themselves into a suitable situation to get that diffuser down. Panda is dropped to the floor, at least for this time being, by Crazalor, who's not able to quite get the kill yet. Knows that they know that they're playing behind that bomb chassis, which is a crucial point. Sends in the flash at least to try and get them to move around a little bit, but not going to entertain that idea now. They're just going to hold there as long as possible. But a beautiful nade sent in there from Nyon, who's now on a triple inside this round alone, as Goni holds a long angle from behind that bomb chassis all the way through and towards prep. And I don't know how profitable that will be, just because it's a pretty pre-fired angle there, and spots ahead there from inside of Kochek. Not able to land any shots yet, Loki, though, and a team kill does come out, though, as Nyon accidentally shoots Panda in the back, and Goni finds Damien at the same time. Loki takes quite a bit of damage, and Born is down, so it's technically a 2 versus 2 situation at the moment. There is a player dropped in towards that Harry Potter area, but Nyon now going for the plant, drops off of it now, just teases it for a second there, but it's spotted out, though. It's a kill again from Loki, who gets himself a double kill with a pistol in hand, as Goni is able to, as Goni has the pistol in hand, and Nyon now is able to get a little bit in towards the freezer side, but doesn't realise the rotates came through from Goni from behind that bomb chassis in towards freezer window, and gets the final kill, and Firebird are able to take yet again another round on Cafe defense. So in terms of the sites, we're going to go back to the middle site, and of course we've seen this the last time. They weren't successful in their defense. This is the only time they've dropped a round, and they're going to at least try again. They're going to see if they can make amends, and they've changed things around. They've heard us talking about us, but they've heard me talking about it at least, and they now know that they need to make a little bit of a change on the top floor, and they're going to do just that. They've not brought the Oryx. They're not going to play it like that. Instead, they're going to bring the Goyo canisters. I'd like to see the Goyo. Of course, it did get changed quite a few seasons ago now, where it used to have the shields, now it's just those canisters, but they tick for so long. I think it's like 25 seconds, so they waste so much time, and precious time at that, because you can put them into those choke points. You know, there's only 2 doorways, really, that you can push on this top floor. You've got the white corridor, or you got the cigar shop. There's only 2 really places you can go. Or you risk exposing yourself to that swing out onto the new balcony, which no one ever really wants to do, because there's usually a player that's ready for that swing. And so you just end up with having to go through those doorways or trying to open up the freezer. And there's just so many long angles that you need to be worried about. And the Goyo canisters could play perfectly if they're able to be put in the right positions. Loki, though, thinking about the run out. It's at the doorway and outside the reception. Knows that these players are going to be going for that rappel up the side of the building. But just going to wait, play time a little bit, and just bide their time inside the reception, waiting for the opportunity to put any pressure onto one side. Instead, just going to hop off of it now. Looks as though they were there waiting for any drones to come through and trying to get an idea of where the push would come to see if there was anybody going to come from the bottom floor. But it looks as though it is going to be a top floor take. They're not really bothered, the attackers, about going from the bottom floor. And just as I say, that Panda's already inside the cigar lounge, joined by a couple of his teammates. And you can see Damien taking a little lick of damage, down to about 50 odd HP inside of cigar shop. Just popping a couple of shots in towards that cocktail lounge, and knows that there's some players behind that wall and just lurking over towards that heaven balcony. And STLR just holding downstairs, just knows that there could be any potential for a flank up that staircase and towards red. But it slows that it's tasked with holding it inside the cocktail balcony, and Panda's able to open up the kill feed inside of this round, and that's Gonny to fall. But Crazyler instantly with the refrag onto Panda, slows, finds Nyon at the same time, and finds himself a double as the player pushes up and looking for the triple. He does, he finds it from Cocktail Lounge. He's holding on for dear life in here, and he finds the kill at the top of the white staircase, and just like that, it's completely collapsed as GRDX just fluffed the round a little bit, just got a little bit overzealous, trying to find himself an opportunity to kill Slows. Eventually it is Gemis that finds that kill, and he's now just staring down the barrel of 1 minute and 15 seconds of a 3 versus 1 clutch, and I don't think he quite has the time to get himself in towards the site enough to do anything with it. The flank is coming from Loki, who knows that he's going to have to deal with some of those drones, shoots them out. The call will come from his teammates, presumably they are on those drones, and it does come out a little bit, and Gemis is just going to play a little bit tentative because he knows that the flank is an option. Crazyler is holding onto that white staircase, waiting for anyone to come, but Gemis still thinks that there's someone on top floor. Still using these flashes to try and flush anyone out that could be lurking upstairs, but there is no one up there. The entire top floor has been given, but now the rotate has came. Loki up on the top floor now, getting aggressive, looking for the hunt down, trying to find the last player that was alive at GMS, but the C4 pre-placed finds a player inside of Cigar Lounge. Sorry, not Cigar Lounge, Cocktail Lounge. And that's it. That's that round over and out. Firebird are able to take another round on their defense, and that's 5 rounds to the 1 round of GRDX and Cafe. And of course, we switch sides now. We're going to go over towards the attack for Firebird, and we'll see if they can keep up the form. They've got 5 rounds already to the 1 of GRDX, and they're looking pretty comfortable. The defense has looked pretty good. I mean, GRDX got off to a decent start. They were inside the Cigar Lounge relatively early, decent area, but the thing was is, you end up going through the choke points, you end up going through the white corridor, end up going through that doorway from Cigar Shop, and it's just a death sentence because these angles are being held. This is exactly where the defenders want you to go. They want you to go through those focal points, those one areas, those narrow doorways. They want you to be invited in through those areas so that they can just profit off of them. It's almost free kills at that point. What you really want to do is try and open up the freezer wall, try and open up the bathroom wall, maybe go from that area and try and catch these defenders out there, maybe not looking for that angle. And it just didn't quite work out for them so far. Defense has been good. Attack, though, this will certainly be the question, and it looks as though we're going to get a same setup on this bottom floor, similar, but the operator's quite a bit different from what we've seen on the side of Firebird. We've seen that Maestro, we're seeing the Bandit as well, and the first pick is going to go towards Gonny, who's able to find Nyon as well, presumably from a spawn peak from somewhere else, but not 100% sure where that was. I think it was an anti-spawn peak, because of course Gonny's on the attack, and just trying to force it a little bit. And this is where the pressure can start to build as players try to play in ways that they maybe wouldn't play normally, or they try to overplay a little bit, and trying to force a spawn peak out there. It's always nice if you catch it, but at this time, if you lose that player early on, it can cause a lot of issues later on the round as Loki gets the Gemini clone in towards the Garland to try and gather as much information as possible so that Slows can follow that up and now begin the vertical play. Has, of course, the sledge in hand and is going to try and open up as much of the floor inside of Training Museum as possible to try and put as much pressure on this site from above as possible. But there's only one C4 on site. Only the Bandit has a C4. It's Gemis who has that. So it will remain in the pocket at this moment. It won't be used yet. Gonny has a shotgun as well. So there's plenty of vertical play available in the form of the sledge and the shotgun from Gonny as well. And good positions as well being held. You can see STLR was on that flank from white, and we also had another one being held. I think it was Gonny that was on that red staircase as well, waiting for anyone to go for the flank, just holding on, manually holding it as well, which is always nice to see because, a lot of players will put the drones out, but you're not going to get the kill off of that. Manually holding it, if you have the man count, is always nice to do. It means that these players really feel at ease while they do this vertical play. You can see that Slows is properly redecorating inside of Museum, as well as the train area as well, just to make sure that they have as much of this floor opened up and as much angles to play later on as well. Now, Crazy Lord just moving through the map and towards the back alley area, and it was going to drop out towards the white, and it looks as though that is where the execute's going to come from. It looks like a white and brown stairs take as Panda holds this angle towards the brown stairs and knows the push is going to come down, hits the proximity alarm, so the position at least be given away. The EMP nade does go out, and there's a smoke as well, just to make sure that they're covered with this push in from the VIP side. But Panda still wedged firmly in the air, is able to get quite a bit of damage, and it's looking like it's all just falling apart here as Damien is able to get himself a double kill, and the attackers have just walked straight into a death zone. As now it's a 2 versus 4, but Panda says no, not anymore, as we're a 4 versus 1 is gone. He's dropped in now. Panda, the final one. It's a frost mat inside his site. Looked as though the execute was looking good, and it just fell apart. The cross angles in the right areas, the players playing around these areas in terms of the bar, holding the angle from. I don't actually know 100% where Niall got the kills from, but Panda was obviously inside a bar, just holding the angles, making sure that anyone pushed in from the way in terms of VIP, or if they pushed in from the brown stairs, then they're going to be covered, and it just worked to their advantage, and they take the first round on their defense. Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can. Top floor hold though, and it seems as though these teams are not really wanting to entertain the middle floor unless they absolutely have to. So top floor it is, and we're going to go to the cocktail lounge. And of course, you have those skylight plays, you have those hatches, and it's a lot more outside to inside, and it can be quite difficult for the attackers. It's a strange one because it's a bit of a funny site. It's one of those, the only sites in the game that has a direct skylight straight onto it, so it plays a lot differently than what other bomb sites do. It has quite a few hatch drops as well, quite a few open hatch drops, and it's narrow choke points for the attackers to have to try and do this, so it can be a bit of an issue for attackers to get in. There's a lot of cross angles, a lot of long angles. There's an angle that opens up all the way from the Heaven balcony through towards the Cigar Lounge, and that can be a bit of an issue for the attackers to get in. So it's a strange one. It can, because even though it has a lot of outside to inside, which usually favours attackers, it can be a funny one for attackers to get into because there are so many choke points. It's difficult to get them in and actually get a plant executed, which we've seen time and time again so far on this map, and we'll try and see if Firebird can come up with a solution to the puzzle and try and solve, the defense that's in place in front of them from GRDX. And they're going to start that off by going to the top floor, getting things droned out, open up those hatches, standard take as always, and then straight to the skylight to hold some angles, pre-fires, just to see if anyone's got caught out, which does happen sometimes. Someone with a late rotate can happen, and the next step usually is to open up that red wall and begin the push in towards Cigar Lounge. And they're going to do just that in a moment as these drones come through. No hold in Cigar's shop. There is a frost mat in there just to see if they can catch anyone out. Cigar Lounge is the same. No one actively holding it, but you do have the shield inside of the freezer. Walls are open up, and that's a pretty common strat that you'll see, holding all the way through from freezer side and not want to an active player inside of Cigar Lounge, because that can be a bit of a kill zone as well, because you have so many windows to watch out for, and sometimes you can lose a player because of that. Niall on the roam below has the Oryx, and I haven't really seen the Oryx being profitable as of yet, so we'll see if Niall can get a result that operator. Born has the echo as well to make sure that they have some sort of plant denial because there is no smoke on side. They're going to use the echo instead and see if they can get rid of the planter. Should there be one? Slows, however, will be moving in towards Cigar Lounge. Knows that there's some shield to deal with. There is 2 shields. There's one inside the bathroom. There's one also inside of Freezer. But Nion's going to get the first kill on the board and finds STLR down below. But is immediately going to find another one. It's Nion to get Gonny this time. And not quite working out for the attackers. Is that Oryx on the bottom floor just seems to be a little bit of a thorn in the side. That's 2 players dropped. Both of the entries gone. Well, I say entries. But one of the entries and the buck gone off the board. As Loki still remains alive and still has the ability to affect the round. The flashbangs go out deep in towards Cocktail Lounge, and it looks as though they're just going to try and send it through the doorway now, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Crazy Lord gets aggressive, pushes up though, is going to be dropped for his aggressiveness though. Nion gets himself a triple. Gemis with another one, and that is it for the defense on the top floor here for GRDX as they take another round on Cafe. And they take us to a little bit of a closer scoreline now. I think Firebird will be a little bit wary of where this could go. It's a 5-3 scoreline now, but that's the 2 stronger sides gone, and we'll see if they can break the trend and try and get a win on the defense here on the Reading and Fireplace side. Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs. Of course, we've seen this tried a couple of times and it's not been the greatest performance. They have won it out, Firebird. They did won it once, and so they've won it once, and now we're going to see GRDX's attempt. We'll see if they can come up with a good solution for it, and they go for quite a bit of different setup. Their operator, what we'll say is the operators, in terms of their defensive picks, have been completely different from what Firebird have brought on their defense. They're bringing the castle, they're bringing the Cade, Smoke, Maestro, and of course the Jaeger. Not really any operators focused on any sort of roam game. They're instead going to be looking to go for that anchor. I say anchor, but you know, there's a little bit of an extension to the top floor, but you can almost consider that top floor area, the Cocktail Lounge, as part of the site because it's a must defense. If you give up Cocktail Lounge, you might as well give up the rest of the round because it just gives everybody direct plant in towards Reading. So it's almost like when you can kind of consider it as part of the site, it's almost a must. So they're going to anchor inside of there using the castle barricades to cut any angles and bringing along the cage as well, just to make sure that it is a lot more difficult to open up these walls. But that's not going to be as much of an effect because it's not one of the sites where there is much play in terms of the hard breach. So it's an interesting choice to bring the Cade along. I'd be interested to see where the Cade claws are placed and see what the actual idea is for that. It looks as though we're getting a little bit of a stack up on the mining window, and I think they might go in for a quick kind of push in towards that train museum area, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're just going to take that map control, they're going to take it straight out from underneath the defense, and they're getting in there quick, and I think their eyes will be lighting up a little bit here as they have an opportunity to get in towards this site and get a plant down before you even entertain anything in terms of the attackers. This is where the weakness can be when you do that top floor hold and you don't quite pay attention to the fact that someone can funnel in from that fireplace, because a lot of the times that is a death sentence if you go through that one angle. But there is a little bit of a hold upstairs still as the wall is opened in towards Train Museum, and that will at least announce and give a sound cue to the fact that there is a push coming from that side as Panda's able to find the first kill on the round on towards Crazy Lure, and now Loki's able to get an instant reflag onto Panda, so that's that player dropped now. Gonny though has a longer angle, has a G36 with the 1.5, waiting for anyone to try and overpeak in towards the bomb chassis there, but no one's going to go for it just yet. No one going for the plant as of yet either. They're just trying to decide what they want to do with this execute. They're waiting. They don't really have anything upstairs. And Slows is going to go for that plant, but Born is wise to it. Is able to get that kill from above. It's a beautiful angle that's been held here. It's so tight. They can't push through there, and there's no real response that can happen here. But STLR's getting aggressive upstairs inside a bar, though. But Gemis is ready for it. Swings up and finds STLR, and Gonny and Loki left with all to do in the 2 versus 4 scenario. Gemis and Damien, though, could be a little bit better for health, and the same with Born could be said. It's not looking too gone yet for the attackers, as they could get themselves in towards the site, and at least they have the information on where the Maestro is playing. The nade is cooked, though, and if it's sent to the right place on the map, it could find the life of Gemis, but not yet. It's not going to go just yet. Still going to keep it in case they need it. Damien holding on the white staircase, waiting for anyone to come through that 90 corridor. Nion still waiting for the same scenario. Smoke Babe will go out, and now they will be playing for time as they just wait out, and no, Damien is going to find Gonnie, and at the same time, Born is able to find Loki, and beautifully played from this angle inside of Freezer. The entire performance, the entire round goes to the Cade inside there, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see where these Cade claws were played, and it looked as though they wanted to hold on to Freezer, and that was the beacon of their defense. They wanted to make sure that they held onto that area and that they had these vertical angles to play, because it gives them the vertical not only in reading because it's directly above it, but also the vertical in towards the fireplace area, which is a key area if an attacker side does decide to go for that sneak plant and through that area, which is exactly what Firebird tried to do. GRDX punishes it, and they get the round because of it. And now we're looking at a 4 versus 5 scenario on the round count. Bottom floor hold this time, and they get the full cycle. They get all 3 of the defenses, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see when you're able to have a good performance on those tertiary sites, which is what we've seen from GRDX, because I wasn't too convinced with what we've seen from Firebird. They did win 1 and lose 1, so it's a 50-50 one for them. So there's still room for improvement in their aspect, but GRDX so far have had a flawless half, and they'll be looking to try and continue that on, because if they were able to do that, they would be able to win this entire matchup, and they're looking certainly good for the money at the moment. Good extension coming out at the moment and towards the bar and VIP area. Now I'm going again for this spawn peak, but it's not going to be able to profit off of that as we speak. It's just going to drop off now, and Slow's moving to the top floor, and they will begin the descent through the map of Cafe, of course, to try and weed out any of these roamers should there be any lurking in these middle floors. Gonnie has the knocks, which is nice to see. The Nox had an increase in pick. There was a time when Nox was never played at all, and the FMG9's in a good place. The nades are great to have, and it's that aggressive, and she's great for hitting the back of the site, and hiding and cloaking himself from any information on the back of those sites. And it's nice to see the Nox having a little bit of time in the light at the moment. She's quite often banned away, so she's been able to get through the ban phase. Of course, we've only lost Flores the KB because of that, and instead we're going to see the ability for the knock to be played, and we'll see if we're able to get anything from it. Okay, though, as ever on the Ayana, has the nades available to them should they need it. So 4 nades on side so far from them, and of course the sledge is going to round out what would be 6 nades for the attackers, and plenty of opportunity to get these vertical holes opened up. They have the sledge and the buck, and that's exactly what they're going to do. But look at Nyan sneaking up the red staircase. No one's paying attention to it, and this looks as though it's going to be profitable because there's so many players inside of mining and train, and no one's paying attention to it. Nyan's made their move, finds a player. It's going to be the sledge, but can't quite land the shots. Eventually does get it, and is not even going to try and get any more. Instead, he's going to try and escape from the clutches of Gonnie, but doesn't get himself out in time. Who's able to get that refrag through the wall and drops that player now. And there's a missed opportunity there from Nyan. Had the opportunity to just go through and find himself another one, and Nyan's hitting the walls in chat there because he knows that that's a good opportunity there. Missed from Nyan as he was just able to go through. Not able to go through with that. Had a chance to get himself a couple of kills and really impact around there, but is instead traded out. It's a 4 versus 4 scenario, and Gonnie now getting these nades in towards bar and putting the pressure on the player that is usually played in there and does find it. It's Panda that's dropped, who's had a great performance in previous rounds inside of bar. There's another one, a VIP, but the swing comes through. It's Damien to win it. 3 versus 3 now, but from behind the shield, Damien again trying to find anyone he can at the bottom of that white staircase, but there's no one to face up to him as of yet. They did just tease it, and swinging back and forward. Damien knows that he's going to be pinched at some point, but there's no one really on that side really facing up to him. It's STLR that's inside a coat check who swings out and finds Born not paying attention, and it's a 1 versus 3. Loki's able to find Damien, and it looks as though the attackers of Firebird are going to get themselves a round eventually on this attack. The plant is going down, but Jemis is in a sneaky position here. He's prone. He goes for the swing through, but can't quite get the kill onto the diffuser just in time. STLR arrives to save their lives, because if that was a split second after, that was going to be in the favour of the bandit, who looked to try and collect the 2 lives behind that bomb chassis and try and get that swung back into their favour, but just in time. STLR to the rescue on the butt, gets himself into the side of the site, and Firebird go on to match point. No, 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 no. Do we stick or twist is the real question. Do we go to the bottom floor and try and change it, try and fix what we had identified as issues the last time, or do we go and change it up? And it looks as though that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to go to the top floor. They did win this pretty convincingly, so they have the option, of course, to go to a couple of sites, and this is the one they've selected to try and defend against this match point that Firebirds find themselves on, and we'll see what they brought out from last time. Similar setup. They do seem to be bringing the Womai pretty much all the time, with the Jaeger as well. They want to bring as much nade denial as possible because, of course, Firebird are bringing 4, 5, 6 nades every single time. This time it looks as though they're going to bring 6 again. They want to bring as much nades as possible. There has been quite a few kills off the back of these nades as well, and they've been pretty decent performance in terms of that utility and getting the most out of it. But we'll see if that is able to play out in their favour in the rest of this round. Nyon on the Oryx again, of course, and going to try and get in their faces. Last time did get a great performance on that the middle floor, was able to get 2 kills, and will hopefully be able to bring out the same performance in this match point and try and get this all the way through to overtime, because they're staring down the barrel of a defeat in regulation as Firebird are on that final point. They just need to get one more round. They'll just need to close this one out and they will win the match and take all of the points, but they have quite a bit to do before they do that. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock as Slows is now beginning the work on the top floor and that roof area. Just open up those hatches. The drop does come through from Gonny, who's on the knock again and drops towards the red staircase, waiting for anyone just to come up there. Just going to wait for a few seconds and see if anyone shows their cards a little bit early and maybe goes for a rotate. And Slows is joining them on that middle floor, and it looks as though they're going to try and play for maybe some vertical nades. I think that's what the idea is here. Last time they were caught out down here. It was Nyon the last time on the Oryx, and he's inside reading it this time, just waiting for any opportunity to get himself a kill. And I think they're just going to play this patiently together as Nyon knows there's some players on the middle floor. The pre-fires came through towards his angle, and I think they know exactly where he is. The drones are coming through, but he's able to at least get a little bit of damage, but loses his life because of it. Slows is the one to try to come in with that kill. But it's a trade. It's a trade for trade. As we see, Gonny dropped off the board as well. The knock is gone, and that's the nades gone from the pocket of the knock as well. But the crucial point is to have the map control in terms of that middle floor. STLR, though, is able to find Panda, and it looks as though things are trying to start to slip away a little bit here for GRDX, as Gemis has quite a bit of damage done to them from a vertical nade inside of Freezer. The controls established the side of Cigar Shop, but not quite into Cigar Lounge yet. There's still a hold from the bathroom as Loki creeps and slinks their way from the bottom floor in towards the ideal scenario. This is which is the white take. They're not going to go for it just yet. They're just going to hold from. But look at that, 2 quick connections come through as STLR finds Gemis at the same time as Damien falls to that gun as well. And now Born in a 1 versus 4 scenario has everything to do, pops up the staircase and finds one. It's STR that's dropped. Born still holding towards this Freezer side, but the angle's just too much. It's too little, too late. And the winners of this match are Firebird to take all of the points on Cafe Dostoyevsky. A convincing performance there. It looked as though we were going to see a little bit of a comeback, but didn't quite get there in the end. GRDX just did. It was just a little bit too late to the party. They had a great run around. They got 3 in a row, and it looked as though they were going to get themselves back into it, but then they just slipped up, and it allowed Firebird to get on to that crucial match point, and that's where things get a little bit sticky for them. It's such a difficult scenario to come back from once you're staring down the barrel of that match point. It's so difficult to actually, keep up the momentum, and you know that if you slip up once, you're going to lose it, and that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, they fell to that, and things just didn't work out for them. It was just an unfortunate way that it played out for them. It was a good performance from Firebird to take all of the points for this evening, but that is going to be it for that fixture. We do have another one pretty much rearing to go. We're going to be going straight into our next one in just a moment, but we will go to a brief break just to give my voice a little bit of a break, and we'll hopefully have someone else joining me for that second game. But for now, go and get some refreshments, enjoy yourself, and we'll see you back here just shortly. Thank you very much.
Jump set for the cards either, but skills raining in. Nato inside now in a 3v3 situation. Flag going down. What is happening? Kill against another one. As in a 3v2 situation. Sakari trying to get up the Slayer's there. Shut down Sakari now in a 1v2 situation. Sledge first. Not in some positions. Both players know where he is. But he gets one now in a 1v1 situation. 30 seconds.
Not going to be successful. You heard a trick. I don't think it was a trick that went off there. I don't know how it was prevented, or maybe someone shot it off, but Alfredo was going to at least find one back. That's forever dealt with, and pressure from that act.